What do you think of when you hear about climate change? Most people are now aware that the world is facing changing weather patterns, rising sea levels, increasing temperatures, water scarcity, droughts, floods, and melting ice caps. But unless you're confronted by the impacts of climate change in your immediate environment, local community, or country, chances are you probably don't think about it all that often. As humans, we have a natural tendency to think problems that don't immediately affect us are somewhere else. We can put them out of our mind because we only see them on TV and they don't really affect our everyday life. And that extends to whose responsibility they are to address. It's commonplace to think of problems of a planetary scale as the responsibility of governments, companies, organizations, and people in positions of power being the ones who should identify and implement solutions. I've been working in the space of climate change education for a few years now, so I've been very lucky to meet a lot of inspirational climate activists and young people motivated to make a positive difference, who care deeply for the planet, the animals, the forests, the trees, and the oceans. Young people who feel a real sense of urgency and are fighting for the cause of sustainability and environmental protection in order to save the planet from the climate crisis. And I think about this a lot and what an uphill battle it seems to be to stop our rampant exploitation of nature, stop the endless pollution of our atmosphere, and change people's attitudes towards the well-being of the planet. I acknowledge that we absolutely need everything activists are fighting for in the climate movement, from stronger policies and legislation, mitigation measures like planting trees and transitioning to renewable energy, adaptation approaches like building seawalls and planting drought-resistant crops, and ensuring resilience like building climate-proof schools and teaching climate change curricula that's contextualized, relevant, and flexible. But I also can't help think that climate change itself is the symptom of a far broader problem. Like it's the fever the planet's experiencing, as it were, but not the root cause of the actual illness. Just the red warning light on the dashboard of our collective consciousness. I often think, do we really need to save the planet? Or do we need to save our relationship with it? Are we, as humans, the ones who actually need to be saved from ourselves? Because our beautiful planet Earth was here a long time before us. It survived asteroids, mass extinctions, immense floods, and ice ages, and regenerated every single time. Even after the destruction of forest fires, nature bounces back. Green shoots somehow make their way out of the ash. Nature heals, resets, and adapts, and our planet will probably be around a long time after we're gone. If anything, we as humans are the frail ones. Humanity could be wiped out with a single collision of a passing interstellar object. Our human systems are fragile. Food systems, coastal cities, our health systems could all collapse and won't just automatically recover. So the question isn't whether the planet will survive, it's whether we will, and what kind of world we leave for future generations. Because we're not just facing a climate crisis, we're facing a crisis of our fundamental connection to nature. Somewhere along the journey of human history, we broke our connection to nature and started thinking that we're separate from it. We stopped seeing ourselves as being an intrinsic part of the earth and started seeing it as our property, something to own, exploit, extract from, and consume endlessly. As a species, we got lost in a sense of superiority and frankly arrogance, that we have dominion over nature and consequently fell out of balance with the planet. If we're honest, we know most people either feel separate from nature, superior to it, or simply indifferent observers of it. And of course, if you don't feel fundamentally connected to something, why would you want to protect it? I mean, if you talk to any parent, most will feel an overwhelming compulsion to protect their children, even with their lives if they had to. That blood connection to family that means you're willing to make sacrifices for them, willing to fight for their honor. It's a visceral and relatable gut feeling hardwired into us as human beings. And it can sometimes extend to our communities and even countries. But it stops when we stop feeling connected. And unfortunately, we seem to have forgotten our connection to nature. As the great Native American leader Chief Seattle once said, "The earth does not belong to us, we belong to the earth." And for thousands of years, indigenous and traditional wisdom taught that when we harm nature, we harm ourselves. And when we protect nature, we protect ourselves. In disconnecting from nature, we disconnected from ourselves as living, breathing extensions of the earth. So, if a forest feels distant, why care if it's burned? If an ocean feels abstract, why care if it's polluted? And if the soil feels irrelevant, why care if it dies? In our modern and supposedly advanced times, most of us feel more connected to our phones than our forests, our screens more than our soil, and our comfort more than our consequences. We forgot that we breathe only because trees and plants breathe. We drink because rain falls and rivers flow, and we're only alive because ecosystems thrive. Modern capitalist culture has taught us to measure success by endless growth, not by living in harmony with the natural world, to pursue more of everything rather than enough, and to dominate Mother Nature instead of live in reverence for her. When did we forget the ancient wisdom of taking only what you need, giving back more than you take, and honoring what sustains you? And speaking of honoring what sustains you, is something very close to my heart. Most religions give thanks before eating, not out of routine, but out of reverence for the land that nourished your food and the effort and dedication it took to prepare your food to eat. Every meal has a story, a journey, and a relationship with the earth. Forests cleared to grow animal feed, oceans emptied by industrial fishing, and greenhouse gas emissions from food traveling across the world, all to satisfy a hunger that has little to do with nutrition and everything to do with disconnection. I'm not trying to guilt anyone, just spread awareness, because the most powerful daily climate choice we can make is the food we choose to consume. And we do it 3 times a day, every day. Your plate can destroy life, or it can restore it. When you choose to eat a more plant-based diet, waste less, and choose local as much as possible, you truly honor and show reverence to what sustains you. And you don't just reduce your carbon footprint, you create ripple effects bigger than you can imagine. As Albert Einstein once said, a human being is part of the whole, called by us universe. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. But how else can we reconnect with nature as individuals when most people tend to fall back on the good old, what can I do, I'm only one person type of excuse? Well, firstly, you don't need to move to the wilderness and be a full-time climate activist. You can start small, But the key is consistency. Reconnection doesn't have to start with information. It can start with mindful attention. In my opinion, the most powerful way to rebuild your bond with nature is getting outdoors as much as possible. But importantly, to be intentionally and fully present in nature and engage all your senses. Take deep breaths, smell the air, and really identify the scents around you. Personally, I love nothing more than smelling fresh cut grass in the morning and taking a moment to pick a frangipani flower, pause, and just linger in that smell. On your everyday commute, take a closer look at aspects of nature you don't normally take in. The leaves in the trees, any wildlife you can spot, the cloud formations. Listen to the wind and the birds. And my favorite thing to awaken my sense of touch is when I immerse myself in water. I love being in the sea or any natural body of water where I can truly feel liberated and free. Just spending 5 to 10 minutes a day being mindfully present in nature can do wonders for feeling grounded and connected to the earth. The moment nature becomes personal, the sense of wanting to protect it becomes more natural, more of an instinct rather than a burden or task. Another way to reconnect is to practice gratitude before eating, which can help us acknowledge the story and journey of each ingredient on our plate. Of course, this can just be an internal exercise where you pause to demonstrate reverence for your food, but the more intentional you are, the more meaningful the practice. And of course, when it comes to purchasing material goods, we could all reflect on our consumption habits with a view to redefining what enough can mean to us and how we could essentially buy less. For example, do you really need a new phone every year? And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you again about your choice of diet. Reducing your consumption of animal products like meat and dairy, even just for a few meals a week, can have a massive impact on your carbon footprint and the climate. As I've said before, eating a plant-based diet is not about perfection. The point is about direction. Your journey is your own and nobody else's. Your personal change can happen at your personal pace, and a shift of eating habits doesn't happen overnight. But there are always people and resources that can help guide you through the transition. And of course, this isn't an exhaustive list. You can choose numerous other ways to reconnect with nature, such as reducing your waste, recycling, reusing, buying local whenever you can, and if you feel so inclined, why not join a local community initiative like volunteering at a beach cleanup or a community garden? You'll find there are actually many options when you're intentionally looking for them. And when it comes to consistency and sustaining a new behavior, you'll find that it's a lot easier when your actions are rooted in connection rather than guilt or a sense of obligation. The fact is, we don't need to become climate activists. We just need to remember that we're a part of the planet, not owners of it. We won't fix the climate by saving the earth. We'll fix it by changing ourselves, our values, our habits, and our relationship with nature, one day at a time. How hard can it be to just start with one action this week? One choice, one meal, or one moment of mindful presence? Because a global transformation begins with a personal choice. Basically, it starts with you. And on that note, I'll stop here for today. I'd like to thank you for watching this episode. Please feel free to share the video, leave a comment, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.